Herbert, Eddie Dowling takes pleasure in presenting Mr. Hal Skelly, the well-known star of stage and screen. You will remember Mr. Skelly because of his success in the great stage play Burlesque, or the screen adaptation Dance of Life, also Behind the Makeup and numerous others. Mr. Skelly's intimate friendship with Victor Herbert enables him to give some very interesting reminiscences of the great composer. I take pleasure in introducing Mr. Hal Skelly.
Victor Herbert, the immortal Victor Herbert. To prove the truth of this statement, it is only necessary to watch the audience trained to present jazz age react to his melody. He has taught the musically untrained the difference between music of the day and music of all time. As a composer, he was in a class by himself. I'll confess now, with considerable shame, that I had to be bribed to watch my first Herbert opera. I was a young boy, and my taste ran to strong melodrama. An aunt of mine, after a lot of coaxing, persuaded me to attend a performance of Mademoiselle Modiste. And I'll never forget the thrill I got when the orchestra played this marvelous overture. From that moment, I was another Herbert fan. And I made a special point of hearing everything he wrote. In 1923, I was engaged to play in a show of Victor's called Orange Blossom. One day at rehearsal, during a rest period, we were talking, and I said, Victor, what do you consider the most successful show you've ever written?
Well, now, that's hard to say. The one people probably remember best is Mademoiselle Modiste.
I certainly remember it. That was the first musical play I ever saw.
Do you know, one of the most popular songs I ever wrote was in that show.
Yes?
And came very near being left out.
Well, how's that?
Why, this particular song didn't impress Miss Fritzie Sheff at all. She didn't think it was any good and wasn't keen about singing it. In fact, the general opinion of everyone connected with the production was that it wouldn't do. We went on the road for a preliminary tour of a couple of months before coming into New York. After a few performances, Miss Sheff asked me to take the number out, as it wasn't getting any results, which I did.
Well, what was the name of the song?
I'll tell you in a minute. A day or so before we opened in New York, Miss Sheff said she had had a change of heart about the number and wanted it put back. But by this time, I was pretty well convinced it was no good and hesitated. Finally, she won me over, and the opening night in New York it was put in.
How did it go, Victor?
I'm coming to that. I remember that night as well as though it were happening right now. I was very nervous because the success or failure of that song meant a great deal to the play. My nervousness had brought on a violent headache, so much so that I could hardly see William Pruitt when he sang this number.
Great of the marriage state and the evils of bachelor life. I'm happier far than the married men are who are cursed with the screw of a wife. I drink my fill if I have the will with friends who are tried and old. And oft when the company's good, I stay. I may not come home till the break of this dinner is waiting and I am away. There is no one to nag me or scold. For I want what I want when I want it. And that's all that makes life worth the while. For the wine that tonight fills my soul with delight, on the morrow may seem to me vile. There's no worldly pleasure myself I deny. There's no one to ask me the wherefore or why. I eat when I'm hungry, and drink when I'm dry. For I want what I want when I want it. I want what I want when I want it. For we want what we want when we want it. That's all that makes life worth the while. For the wine that tonight fills my soul with delight, on the morrow may seem to be vile. There's no worldly pleasure myself I deny. There's no one to ask me the wherefore or why. I eat when I'm hungry, and drink when I'm dry. For I want what I want when I want it. I want what I want when I want it.
I remember that, Victor.
The house was crowded, and the audience became so receptive that I had more confidence when we played the introduction to the next act. Everything was going so well, I'd almost forgotten the song when suddenly the cue came. If Miss Sheff was nervous, she certainly didn't betray the fact. She was a beautiful girl and made a striking picture in the costume she wore. I started the introduction, and Fritzy went to work like the great little artist she was.
Thank you.
of the song, my boy. The audience took to it instantly. There was never a doubt of its popularity. Miss Sheff scored a tremendous personal success. So much so that even today, Kiss Me Again and Fritzy Sheff are so inseparable that you never hear of the one without the other.
All right, Victor.
You have just heard another episode of the Reminiscences of Victor Herbert, as told by Mr. Hal Skelly. Your sponsor will announce the date of the next episode. This is Leland Lee announcing.